They say there's a village that appears only under the full moon. No one believes it anymore, not since the stories faded into legend. But legends have roots, and sometimes the past doesn't stay buried. In a quiet valley called Eldenwood, there lived a boy named Aaron, curious, restless, and never afraid of the dark. His grandmother often warned him, "Stay indoors when the moon is full. The forest remembers what we've forgotten." Aaron would laugh, thinking she was just old and superstitious. One night, the moon rose huge and silver, brighter than he'd ever seen. From his window, Aaron noticed tiny lights flickering in the wood's soft, floating lanterns swaying between the trees. No one else seemed to see them. Curiosity whispered louder than fear. He took a lantern and slipped outside. The deeper he went, the quieter it became. The wind stopped, even the crickets fell silent. Then suddenly the mist parted, and there it was. A village bathed in silver light. Houses with glowing roofs, music that shimmered like water, and people dressed in old, flowing garments. They smiled at him, as if they had been waiting. A girl stepped forward, her eyes shimmering like the moon itself. "Welcome to Lunara," she said softly. "We've been expecting you." "Expecting me? How could you?" But she only smiled. "Because every century, one from your world finds us." They led him through the glowing streets, offered him food that sparkled like starlight, and told stories of a time when their village existed beside the human world before a curse sealed them into the light of the full moon. The girl told him that Lunara existed only while the moon was full. When it waned, everything here vanished: the homes, the people, the laughter. "We live in the moonlight," she whispered, "and fade with it too." Aaron couldn't believe it. "How can that be possible?" he asked. She looked at him sadly. "Would you believe it if you hadn't seen it yourself?" He stayed with them all night, entranced by their beauty, the warmth, the peace. But as dawn approached, the moon began to sink. The air around him shimmered. The girl's face started to blur, like smoke in wind. "You have to go," she said urgently. "Before the light fades. If you stay, you'll never leave." Aaron hesitated, but something in her voice made him run. Through the forest, through the mist, until he saw the first orange light of sunrise. When he turned back, the village was gone. The trees stood still and silent, as if nothing had ever been there. The next morning, he tried to tell his grandmother what he'd seen, but she didn't look surprised, only afraid. "You shouldn't have gone," she whispered. "That village was where your father disappeared." Aaron froze. His father had vanished years ago, on a full moon night, in the same forest. Suddenly, the girl's eyes flashed in his memory, the same grey-blue shimmer as his father's. When the next full moon came, Aaron couldn't resist. He went back, following the same path, heart pounding. The lights appeared again, but dimmer this time, like the glow of dying candles. He stepped into the clearing and called out, "Father?" Out of the mist, a figure emerged, tall, gentle, familiar, his father. But his face was pale, his eyes shining silver. "You came back," the man said softly. "Now you'll stay." Aaron reached out, but before he could speak, the moonlight wrapped around them both a swirl of silver, bright and blinding, and then silence. The next morning, there was no trace of him, just his lantern lying at the edge of the woods. Now, every full moon, travelers passing through Eldenwood say they see two figures standing at the forest edge, a man and a boy, their faces glowing faintly, watching the path that leads into the trees. They say, if you follow the lights, you'll hear a voice whispering from the mist, asterisk, "Welcome to Lunara," asterisk. And if you do, don't look back. Because once you see the village of the moonlight, you may never see the dawn again. Curiosity can open doors, but some doors were never meant to be found.